Is it Rad Astra or Sad Trashtra? Find out tonight on Digital Drive-In Podcast.
Also, we'll probably ramble about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood again, and Garrett will inevitably bring up Stanley Kubrick.
No.
I'm sure you will.
No, I specifically won't. How about that?
Oh, yeah, right. Good luck. Then I'm going to do it. I'm going to force you into it.
Nope. How many people were in your theater?
7.
Yeah, I would say we probably had 15.
Including my group of 3, so...
We probably had 15 in IMAX. And the thing is, I wasn't originally going to go to the one in IMAX, but the time sheet on the internet and on the app fucked up and didn't say that it was for IMAX. And that was like the first showing. And the next showing was going to be like an hour later. And I'm like, I haven't even ate lunch yet. I'm not going to stay around. It's already a 2-hour-long movie. So with the credits and everything, I'm probably getting out of there.
I would have seen it in IMAX if I had the chance.
Yeah. So, no, I'm glad I did.
And of course, welcome everybody to an episode of the Digital Drive-In Podcast, where we talk about some of our favorite movies, or I guess just movies at this point, just with this episode. I wouldn't call this one a favorite, but whatever. I digress.
How about we talk about movies we want to talk about?
Yeah, it's a podcast where we don't conform to any regular things. They just happen to be movies that we like all the time.
We don't have sponsors. We don't have any overhead of like.
We don't have views. We don't have.
Yeah.
We don't have
That's
fans.
whatever we want to do. We're doing it for us. If you want to listen in, fine. If you don't, fine. It's whatever.
We're basically screaming and staring into the void endlessly until it drives us mad.
Wow.
Much like Tommy Lee Jones does in the film Ad Astra, which just, I don't know. He didn't really, but...
He didn't do anything. He really didn't need to be there.
Yeah, anyway, we'll get into that. Anyway, we went and saw Ad Astra, which is the new James Gray film.
Ari Aster.
Have you seen any James Gray films?
No, in fact, I recognized a few of his films, but this is the first one of his that I have seen. How about you?
Me neither, but I've been very interested in watching The Lost City of Zed, or Z for my American counterparts, for a very long time, just because of my adventure movie love. I just heard that it's like 2.5 hours and paced like this one, so I was like, I'll put it off for another day. And then I never got around to it, but I kind of want to check it out. I've heard great things about this one, or that one, I mean. But what did you think of Ad Astra, his new film, of course, starring Bradley Pitt and Thomas Leonardo Jones?
Well, here, I'm gonna put a little more structure to it than what you might give.
Yeah, because I was just like, do you like the movie or no?
Yeah. My experience with this film, I really didn't know much about it going into it, other than the fact that Brad Pitt was in it. It was a space movie. And the trailer, I didn't even watch the trailer, but it's just the fact that the trailer kind of gave the impression of like a Martian Ridley Scott type way it was filmed. And that's really all I knew about it.
Okay. So you didn't know like Tommy Lee Jones was in it or anything?
I knew Tommy Lee Jones was in it, but I did
you know that it was a Heart of Darkness adaptation?
Not until right before.
Oh.
And I did not know that Donald Sutherland was in it.
Neither did I. He popped up. I was like, whoa, hey.
I was like, whoa, it's the unofficial sequel to Space Cowboys.
There's a reference.
I didn't say I would not reference any movie.
Oh, I just meant there was a reference that nobody gets.
I mean, come on. James Garner, Clint Eastwood, Tommy Lee Jones, Donald Sutherland.
Wow, that's a good cast of nobodies.
All right.
I'm fucking kidding. Anyway, move on. The bit is dead.
So it's just the fact that I went into it extremely blind because I was hoping... I like space movies. When I was a kid, I read like especially hard sci-fi novels, a lot of the ones from like the 60s, you know.
Oh, what's your favorite? You like space movies? What's your favorite space movie?
We're not here to discuss any of those. We're here to talk about Ad Astra. So of like newer space films, I have liked First Man, and I have liked The Martian. I have not liked Gravity and I was very lukewarm on Interstellar.
You hated Interstellar. Don't sell it short.
I
You're like, me, Chris Nolan ripoff of movie.
I have a
Okay,
lot of I have a lot of problems, but the reason I have so much problems with Interstellar is because it tried to do more than what it was capable of.
Sure.
I kind of feel like Ad Astra did not reach for the stars. Like
I was gonna say, I think it's the opposite.
Yeah, it very much so was like it's going to be more of a grounded film. This is way more about a relationship movie and about loneliness than it is about space, which I don't know if that was really shown through in the trailers or if it was just supposed to be like, hey, it's an adventure-y space movie. It was way more of a drama that had space as the backdrop, basically.
Sure.
Like you could have had this on a boat or had it in the 1800s, basically, and still had every single thing happen to the characters and the same plot points, and it would have been the same movie.
Pretty much. It's literally just Heart of Darkness lifted into space, basically.
Yeah, but not as good as Apocalypse Now, for sure.
No, but I feel like was that one. Which one's more truthful to the book, if any, or they both changed enough? I haven't read them.
Yeah, I think they both changed it enough. I mean, you have key concepts there, but there are the same key concepts that are just in like scripts.
Right. I think Apocalypse Now does a good job at, using that to break down war as general, particularly the Vietnam War. While this, like you said, doesn't really reach for anything. I don't think.
Yeah.
It's not really asking any questions or anything.
No.
It's more of just a solo kind of character study on Brad Pitt.
And it's not even really a character study.
Sure.
Because I mean, it's like a small arc, basically. I mean, it's a lot of it is like a
people to being like, I guess they're okay. I guess they're worth fighting for.
It's like it's a low budget story with a high budget, and sometimes I think the high budgeted things, like with the more action set pieces, hindered my enjoyment of the movie more than if it would have strictly been a character study.
Sure.
Which is why I think First Man is actually superior to it, because not only did it have better sound design and better special effects, but it also was better in the character study. Yeah, and it was very connected. Yeah, but of course you have a real person that you're dealing with too.
Sure.
Whereas this is just a made up. It's an archetype. He's not even really a character. He's just like a form of what a character would be.
His name is Human Man.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I wrote down some notes. Let me see. What is
more prepared than I
am? Besides Brad Pitt's Roy McBride, what was any character's name?
There was Cliff McBride. That was Tommy Lee Jones. I only remember because Cliff Booth, and I was laughing to myself in the theater.
The thing is, that's not even really his name.
Clifford McBride.
No. Let me look it up here, because I don't fucking know. It is H. Clifford McBride.
Well, they called him Cliff. Whatever.
I'm just saying. But outside of knowing, like, once you know the main guy's last name, you're like halfway there.
Sure.
Like, I didn't, other than like recognizing actors,
But I mean, there wasn't really any characters in the movie other than Brad Pitt. Everyone's in the movie for like 5 minutes max, other than him.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like literally, it's like man pilot that is scared. I mean, it's like if that would have been his name, I'd have been like, oh, okay, that could have been his character's name. Or man chewed and faced by monkey. Okay, that's that guy's name.
That was awesome. Did you see that coming?
Oh, I mean, like before the movie, no, but once they said on the like radio distress thing that it was that kind of a ship, I'm like, this isn't going to go into like Event Horizon where it turns into like a horror movie, is it?
I would have loved that though, wouldn't it? Would that have been cool?
It would have been a lot like Alien at that point.
I mean, you don't have to do Alien anyway. But a monkey man, he shoots the monkey in the face, and then there's another monkey man. I just want to know what else is on that ship.
What I thought would have been funny is once he landed, if the apes would have reached out to him. Welcome back to Earth. Anyway.
Or, yeah, it's just a secret Planet of the Apes movie.
Yeah, I mean,
They
the
actually
problem.
this is the fourth movie in War for the Planet of the Apes and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of Charlton Heston, you have Brad Pitt as the role.
Right.
He comes back to Earth, and then Caesar is dead. Never mind.
That would have been stupid.
Yeah,
No, it's just
probably.
like that thing, that scene in and of itself is fine, but when mixed into the story, you're kind of like, that was literally just to set up that plot point, and then we moved on, never to have referenced it again.
Yeah, now I wonder if they get like attacked by animals in the book or something really quickly.
And I don't know. It's one of those things where like it's way too convenient that all the plot things happen to the main character, and he's the one that gets everybody out of everything, and he's the only one that survives everything.
Mm-hmm. I guess we should say spoilers too. We usually do
Who
that with
cares?
films that are in theaters, but whatever.
I mean, don't listen to a podcast about a movie if you don't want to hear about the movie. The thing is, I mean, it's
Hot take here.
some of it is like
Getting
Mad
fireball.
Libs, where it's just like you're filling out. He's in a spaceship and he meets a monkey, you know.
Right.
But it's almost like you could have edited that part out and spent longer on the ending, and I would have been fine. There's like almost like
Yes.
it kind of didn't even need to be in there, other than like if it was an episodic format. It's like, what's going to happen next week?
Spend longer with Tommy Lee Jones and
You know, like the whole
Brad
thing
Pitt,
you're
so the whole
building up
point of
to.
the movie. Yeah.
If the crux of the film is the family dynamic, there has to be something between the family.
Right.
It's a very explainy film where it states what it is and then it moves on from there. There's no subtlety, there's no flourishing, there's no allowing you to think about it while it's happening, there's no like pauses in between and have you think about things afterwards. It states what its intention is, that's what it does, that's what you get from it, and then you just go from that point to the next point to the next point to the end. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like that is a terrible way to make a film and you can't make a film that way.
Sure.
But it doesn't elevate the
unique.
material. It doesn't do anything more for it. It doesn't make it stand out against other giants of the industry. It's just another film.
What other giants of the industry?
You know.
No, I don't know of any space movies other than this.
Okay, that's fair.
He's not gonna do
They're
it.
out there.
Guys, he's
Like
not gonna go
Forbidden
into it.
Planet. Forbidden Planet from the 50s. The one that like kickstarted Gene Roddenberry's idea about making Star Trek.
I still want to watch that. That movie looks fucking wild.
The movie is fantastic. It's one of my favorite science fiction movies.
It looks bananas. Just I've seen clips of it. It's just like
It is a 5-star science fiction movie. Also, another
people
really good
gave
one.
This movie 4 stars, and this is going to be like the worst 4-star review you've ever heard.
Well, I would have probably given it a 3.5.
Yeah, and I'm teetering between the two as well.
The reason I gave it 4 is because to me the script is bad, but like Brad Pitt's acting is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematography is very professionally done. I think it's very well lit.
Shot by the guy that did Interstellar, which I think is still a better looking movie, but
sure, some of it is better looking, some of it is not.
Okay.
I think the sound design in Interstellar is horrible.
Yeah.
Whereas the sound design of this is actually really nice, and it's like the score fits what is in there, but it doesn't overpower the scene. You don't think more about the score later than what you do what was happening in the scene. It like actually fits well together with it.
Yeah.
There might be a little bit of problem with editing, but I think some of it was like, as Brad Pitt is moving through the movie, his emotional way of viewing things kind of becomes fractured, and so it becomes a little more rough around the edges, and I think the editing shows that. Mm-hmm. So even if it's not maybe the best editing in the world, it's like they were attempting something, and I think they succeeded. So I think that gets credit for that. So it's kind of like a lot of times people will say that a movie has more style than substance, and when they say that, they just don't necessarily know how to read visual storytelling. But this literally is like all professionally done, all style, but there really isn't anything more than surface level.
Sure, it's not. Yeah, like I said earlier, it's not asking questions, or like you said, it's not really reaching for anything higher than it just kind of is what the story is. Which again is what I guess it's kind of like a sister film to it. When Apocalypse Now kind of used the source material to again kind of explore and destroy the Vietnam War, basically.
It's interesting too. Apocalypse Now has a much better grasp on like size and structure.
Sure.
Like you almost get tired going down the river because you think it's never going to end. Whereas this one was like he goes to sleep and oh, he's there. Of course, I guess at the same time, I don't necessarily want this to be a 3-hour long movie either because there's not enough.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
You know, so it's like I can understand. But at the same time, if you're going for that, you really probably could have made this 95 minutes.
Yeah. It's just the pace is, I think, weird in this movie. It's slow paced, but it's also like a shorter film, I guess. It's pretty much right on 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you said like it either needs to be longer or shorter, but I wouldn't really want either. I don't know.
I think if it would have been more ambiguous, like take out the voiceover, the massive amounts of voiceover.
Yeah.
And like linger on certain shots.
Again, it reminded me of Apocalypse Now, but whatever.
Right. They're trying to spoon feed you too much information, but the information they're giving to you is not something that couldn't have been told in other storytelling formats.
Sure.
Like there are other ways to show those things. Like him keeping a picture of his dad with him with every launch he goes on would show something rather than him saying, yeah, you know, I've like always thought about my dad when I go up and I wanted to be a spaceman just because he was. It's like, okay, you don't need to tell me that. Show me that, you know?
Yeah.
Again, and it's kind of weird that this guy has already made so many films because it seems like he's struggling with how to tell a story.
Sure, and I've heard nothing but like great things about like Lost City of Zed and all that.
Yeah.
That it's again slow paced like this, but for reasons kind of like we were talking about Apocalypse Now. Like that's them trying to find a lost city, like adventure sense. So it makes that journey feel long. I almost think, and it's like wildly different than what we were just talking about, but for the ending. Again, I think we could have either explored the family element more, and I think it would take a shake up of the whole movie because the whole thing would have had to have been different. But I don't know if like he got to Neptune and there was like some slip space thing there, and he's like, "Oh, what happened?" And then he just gets like shot into deep space or some shit from it. But then you would have to like, and he's like, "Where'd my dad go?" Oh, I guess he went through this hidden tear in space or some shit. I don't know. And then you just get weird with it.
Yeah, but the other thing is, I'm fine with it going in that different direction. It's like, It's not, I don't know if it's necessarily even a subversion of expectation, but just like the point of the movie being you're searching for something out here that's not out there, but what you really want is back at home. Why didn't you realize it?
Right.
And I'm completely fine with that being the turning point of the film and like that being where the character ends up and the son learns what the father couldn't. And I'd like, that would have been fine, but all the pieces before it need to add up to that being a satisfying resolution. And I feel like a lot of people are going to come out of this thinking nothing happened. I expected it to go somewhere and it built up to nothing.
Right. What'd you think of the Boone Pirates?
Stupid.
See, I liked it a lot. I don't know why, but maybe it was because it just felt like nothing in the grand scheme of things, but I would like to explore that a little more. I liked the whole commercialization, like that's what humanity would do.
Oh, I 100% like the commercialization of it.
And then, pirates on the moon. There was like some lead-in or somebody was saying that they're trying to, in the movie that the governments were all like funding the space pirates to try to drum up Earth controversy or something.
And again, like I think that's fine, and it's okay that they left it mysterious. But at the same time, like there are parallels to that in the real world. Like you go to Benghazi or something, and the military has escorts.
Yeah, I think that's what he was trying to say.
Exactly. But when that happens, they don't sit out on a lawn chair or take a lawnmower to drive to where it is they're going to go.
Right.
So it's like they take the lunar moon lander from like 1968 or whenever the first one was. And it's like, so technology hasn't changed in that amount of time. It's like, I know that they were trying to go, hey, here's a callback to the Apollo missions. But when they go on Mars, there's like an enclosed rover. So it's like they're just guys like sitting out on open door cars that have like a couple handguns. Like every passenger doesn't have a gun. It's not like they actually have like military standard issue. They're like handguns. and they're taken by surprise. No one's even looking for them. Brad Pitt's the one that notices, like, hey guys, there's somebody coming up, and they're like, oh, where are they coming from? Did you see them? And I'm like, what's the point of having 3 cars that's an escort if no one's paying attention to what's going on?
Yeah, it's not like you're making a delivery mission down a tumbleweed and you're looking at the compass the whole time. You can see when the red people are coming up on you.
The thing is, we pack more heat on 2 horses from the 1800s than they do in 21 whatever here.
That's because we're smart and they're dumb.
What's ridiculous, especially for a top secret mission where the military is involved. I could understand if this was like, we just want you to ride with the, they kind of like on the way to the moon, they're like, we're going to have you in a commercial flight so that you don't, like, for whatever reason, people don't recognize who everything is or that it's an important mission. But once you're on the moon and you're going to have a caravan, how do they not have armored vehicles? It's like the reason the Apollo one was built the way it was is because it had to be launched from Earth to the moon.
Right.
Here, they have manufacturing places that are building things. So you could build a much better thing up there. It's details. It's like just forethought and not thinking of a writer writing the thing for the plot point, but think about how a military would provide the thing and make it realistic, if that's what you're going for. And it seemed like this movie was trying to go for a more grounded, realistic approach in some things, but because it's so disjointed, it feels out of place.
Have you read Heart of Darkness?
A long time ago in school. I think it was like middle school I read it, so It's been a while.
Because I'm trying to wonder if the film suffers from trying to just be one-to-one to the source material. As in the book, is there a point where when Roy or whatever gets to the first destination, he has to be transported to a second place and they get attacked by pirates? Now, it makes sense of that because let's say they're in like a horse-drawn carriage or whatever because it's 1902, or they're on a boat, then it makes sense. Right? Why don't you notice it? Because they don't have like big guns or anything like that. But when it's 21 whatever and you have advanced technology, it starts to not make sense.
No, it's like the plot point itself of pirates or something, some faction is attacking, but it's like you don't even have to go from the 1800s to now or the early 1900s to now. Mad Max Fury Road.
Sure.
Is like they have cars with spikes on them that represent something, and they're trying to get from one place to another, and they're prepared to fight back, and the other place is prepared to fight you to take the gas. And so it's an established world that already has these things, and it's 2 insurgencies fighting each other. But this is like, oh yeah, we've been telling you the entire time there are pirates, but we're completely unequipped to be able to fight them, even though there's nothing to do with like a shortage of resources or no reason why we couldn't have an ability to fight them, because we're literally the fucking military. That's the problem.
At least have a laser turret on the back of the gun. On the back.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, if have a completely white Humvee that's for the moon, and have a guy in a spacesuit standing out there with the gun. And then have a sniper.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Even if you take the guy out in the gun, at least it looks like the military is putting in an effort.
Right. Or they run over a landmine and it takes something out. And then now they're trying to scramble. Or there are so many people, they're just overcome by numbers. Like, there are so many things you can do. But the problem is you have to have the foresight and the forethought to work it out before making the movie.
Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. And I wonder if the equivalence of that scene in Apocalypse Now is the Ride of the Valkyries scene.
God, I mean, if it is, then wow, did you ever drop the ball?
Because then I'm thinking, right, obviously you're bringing the person from point A to point B. It's not like point C to point D or anything. Like, it's like pretty much the first thing in the movie, the first traveling, I mean.
The other problem is...
they get attacked by the town, like the Viet Cong in Apocalypse Now, right? It's just altered a little bit because I think Coppola then understands the power dynamics there as well, and severity between the American army and the Viet Cong, and especially the gung-ho-ness.
That's the thing, is when you have a movie made that far back that had to do everything physically, like to show a power of a place taking out an entire village, they literally had to do that.
Right.
In the age of CG, you can build anything that you can imagine. So the only excuse is either I couldn't imagine it, or we didn't have enough time to complete what my vision was. And I don't
Right.
think this movie has either issue because this movie was actually pushed back of a release. So they had extra time to complete whatever it was that they wanted.
There were test screenings in 2018 or
Right.
whatever.
So either they didn't want or they couldn't do. So then they gets judged for it.
One of the things in the test screening is that Liv Tyler wasn't in the movie at all. And that didn't change very much between now and then.
I kind of was okay with that because we didn't necessarily need to know more than the very basics. I think it could get weighed down, or you start thinking, "Hey, wasn't that the girl in Armageddon?"
Sure.
I kind of wish. Yeah, I kind of wish they would have got a nobody actor.
Yeah, it feels weird to kind of just have Liv Tyler for one thing. You know what they should have got? Angelina Jolie.
Oh gosh, that would have been difficult.
The one that got away.
And it could have had Jennifer Aniston.
Oh God.
No, I think. I mean, it would have been. I don't know. I guess some of it is just differences in taste.
I guess we kind of have been sprinkling them in too, but like, I don't know. What did you think of the Apocalypse Now shot? Did you think they were going to do it like I did?
What do you mean by the Apocalypse Now shot?
On Mars, when he emerges from the water, it has like
the
sun in the distance kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I went, they're going to have the goddamn space helmet coming out of the water like Apocalypse Now. And they didn't. And I was like, thank God. But that was probably my favorite shot of the movie, was like him running through the orange sun. It was like, nice. I don't know why. It just looked nice. Reminded me of Blade Runner.
There was a lot. There was a lot of the, especially the colorization and like the dust.
Yeah.
But okay, like when you see that, you think about those things with the shots. I'm thinking about something completely different.
What are you thinking about?
Why is it that once they're on ground, it seems like there's regular gravity on both the moon and Mars?
Because the suits have bricks in the bottom of them.
Instead, it wouldn't work that way.
Because the suits have dumbbells attached to the bottom of them.
No, it doesn't matter what kind of weights.
Because the suits have other planets attached to the bottom of them that create their own gravity pull.
They have anti-gravity boots, and I mean, it's like none of the movement though. It's not even just the walking. It's none of the movement.
Except when the in the Space Pirates scene, when the car gets hit off of the crater. I thought that was cool.
Except that it stops spinning and it lands flat, and it should keep moving because there's been nothing to resist it. So wrong again. These are grade school mistakes. And I know
you gave this movie 4 out of 5.
I told you it's okay, but the thing is, all right,
grade school mistakes. What an amateur. 8 out of 10.
Can
little something for everybody.
The grading depends on the type of movie you're trying to make.
Yeah, I'm just fucking with you.
I know that. What you said actually brings up a point of one of the things in my notes that I wanted to bring up. And it's kind of the same reason I rated Interstellar more poor than what other people did. Is because to me, it's like what they set out to make the film to be is how I rate and judge it. And previously, I didn't know what it was that they set out the film to be, or what kind of film they're trying to make. I looked at it more as like an adventure family drama, is what I came away kind of looking at it as. Which is like when there's an adventure kind of movie, to ratchet up the tension or to have thrilling aspects, you will have things that will happen that wouldn't really happen in real life, or would be completely different. But if you had the actual reality of something, it would be boring, you know?
Right.
Like if Die Hard completely had everything to do with what physics and how things would work, then it would be a very boring movie necessarily, or he would have been killed right at the beginning.
If you had a boring, realistic adventure movie, you just get Fitzcarraldo. A boring adventure movie.
So it's interesting because I looked on IMDb, like again, after I watched the movie, even after I rated the movie, just to see what either people were saying or what some of the things were. And I will just read a quote here. And so I'm not bringing any of this up. I'm reading a quote from what the director said, okay?
Oh, God. No, this counts. This counts.
Director James Gray has said that Ad Astra will feature. Here's the quotes. The most realistic depiction of space travel that's been put in a movie.
Ouch.
And that's the end of the quote. And then he
First man, anybody?
He also described it as, beginning quotes again, sort of like if you got Apocalypse Now and 2001 and a giant mashup, and you put a little Joseph Conrad in there. End quote.
So it's his job to hype it up and sell it.
There's a difference between hyping up something, saying this is a really exciting film, I think people are going to love, Brad Pitt does a fantastic job. There's a difference between doing that and saying this is the most realistic depiction of space travel that's been put in a movie, and it's like Apocalypse Now and 2001: A Space Odyssey just mashed together. It's
right. Because neither of those are realistic.
No, it's like, so are you just delusional then?
Right. The answer is
apparently yes.
So are we. Everyone is. Is mankind worth saving? Brad Pitt says yes.
Because I'm part of mankind, so I would say yes. At least
you're not worth saving.
You're not worthy.
We're not worthy.
So I have more issues if you want to talk about them, or if you want to say something nice in between.
What did I like about this movie? That was Brad Pitt. Good actor. Cliff Booth.
I like Brad Pitt.
This movie made me. You told me to say something nice.
I did.
This movie made me want to watch First Man again, and I'm going to. And that's the nice thing that this movie did for me. Because First Man should have been nominated for Best Picture last year, and it wasn't. First Man should have got a lot more love and attention from general audiences, and it didn't. And I'm going to go watch it again. So thank you, Ad Astra.
It's not Ad Astra. Okay, so here's something else that bothered me, and I know you're going to say, like, Garrett, this is the tiniest detail in the world. What the fuck's wrong with you? But this is how my brain works, okay?
Garrett, this is the tiniest detail in the world. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Okay. No, when I said that you would say it, I didn't actually mean you should repeat it as soon as I said it.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, this is obviously in the future. Not like 10 years in the future, but obviously in the future. But the pictures that they have of Tommy Lee Jones when he's young is like a picture that you would have in the 50s. Like it was scanned in as a JPEG and had like all these terrible like artifacts, or it was like newspaper print resolution. And it's like...
That's the tiniest detail in the world.
But I mean, it's like everything should be like in HD, like a ridiculous resolution. They would have like videos, but it was like,
do you know what they should have done? They should
have. Do you remember back in 1950?
They should have smacked it. That was pretty good. They should have smacked a picture of Josh Brolin in there as a young Tommy Lee Jones and called it a day. Let's do Men in Black 3.
Well, the thing is, I mean, there is high definition imagery.
Let's do a podcast that just talks about Josh Brolin's performance in Men in Black 3.
But it's like Brad Pitt's memories of his father is like a VHS recording on an old tube TV. But Brad Pitt should not have been alive during any of that because it's
that was weird. No, but it meant the passage of time.
Again, but imagine
when those shots popped up, I went, "Ooh, you know what I should be watching right now? Second Woman, First Man." That was a joke.
I got it. It's give your audience a little bit of credit and don't talk down to them. It's like, the only way the audience can represent in their brains that this is in the past is if we actually show them something that would have been 40 years in their past. I also feel like Brad Pitt as an actor is almost too old for this character. Like for him to just now really getting over his daddy issues when he's like
59.
Late 40s, early 50s. I don't know what age he's supposed to be in, but it's like if he was like late 20s, early 30s, maybe, and that's still kind of be pushing it.
Okay, because he talks about disappeared when he was 29, didn't he say that? His dad disappeared when he was 29? And then at some point, Tommy Lee Jones says it's been 27 years. So is he supposed to be 56?
Yeah,
No,
and
he's
that's
16 when he left. It's been 27 years. So he's supposed to be 43.
still that's too old,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Especially for the kind of person that he is and how successful he is. It doesn't make sense that that would still be a thing stunting him.
Right.
Um, I don't think it's necessarily a bad point of like him maybe never having completely got over his dad or always wishing he could have seen him. But you could put something at the beginning of the movie to show that instead of telling us, like through dialogue or through voiceover that that's what he's going through. Show him doing some of the stuff. Show him like getting ready to go to the academy and finding a box with his dad's stuff in it, and
And
like
burning
that
it.
meaning something to him. Yeah, it's just there's different ways of showing it. You don't have to be overly sappy or sentimental or anything, but just show him doing something, having an award or a medal of honor or something from his dad that he keeps with him or is in his pack wherever he goes. It's like it could be one item, but
His
some sort of
dad's
a
old
token.
crucifix, because there were a lot of religious overtones in this movie that didn't really go very far.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and again, that's fine if that's what kind of character you're developing. There's nothing wrong with having that in
I
a
just loved
film
how
as
much there was, the people talking about like praise God and all that.
yeah.
Like when it was his dad on there, I'm like, okay, whatever. He's just like a Christian dad kind of thing, right? He was like, I thank God for you, my son, at the start of the movie. But
Right.
then like when he gets on the ship
Yeah. Each
to go to
person has
Mars,
their
like
own
they
little.
pray or whatever, and they're like, thank you God for putting us on this ship, and they get eaten by a
But
monkey.
I'm almost 100% positive that that's something that was from, again, the old Apollo missions in the 60s that they
Sure.
decided to put over into this that doesn't necessarily fit.
Yeah, but I
It's
think there
kinda
was
like
there was almost too much of it that it almost gave it a religious, like trying to go for a religious theme then, when either they should have just omitted it or tried to do something with it.
yeah,
Like
it's
that, what you can talk like Tommy Lee Jones at the end talks about how his mission, or he has infinite work to do, is that
right.
like he's thinking himself God.
Sure. But again, it's like
But then why does he say okay to leaving?
it's reading into movies 101.
Yeah.
It's like it's the most basic thing that they could put into. This is edgelord script writing material.
Mhm.
And that's the part is like nothing is subtle. It's like they beat you over the head with it when you're like, yeah, I've got it. And a lot of that is either the director not having confidence in the audience or the studio not having confidence in. It's you were talking about it just a minute or 27 years ago. About how Tommy Lee Jones was like had been missing for 27 years or that's the last like
Yeah.
message received was that long.
Yeah.
So why did Space Control wait years to send someone to Neptune?
Because I don't know, they were waiting for that surge. They were like, he's gone, and then they got hit, and he's like, oh shit. Guess he
I
ain't
mean, it's
gone.
like they have the one thing where they're like, we sent probes, but everything's like too big to check everything out. But Brad Pitt, it only took him 79 days to travel there in a manned mission.
Just send one person out there in 79 days, 2 ways. Give
Well, I
them
mean,
$2
it's
million,
like
be like, call it a day.
whatever it is that they sent up there has to be like ridiculously expensive because they never sent another one, right? As far as we know, like that's the only
Right.
one that's around Neptune. If there was a specific reason why it went there, would they not have sent more things or another one up there to I mean it's like it's so weird. It's like there's this EMP thing that's happening that's able to almost like instantaneously travel from Neptune all the way to Mars and the moon and Earth and disrupt all these things and cause accidents and kill people. But this was a satellite dish that the humans invented and created. But in 27 years, they haven't either been able to figure it out or they didn't know it could do this thing.
Well, then maybe a better way to do it would have been they found life on one of the moons of Neptune. Tommy Lee Jones, when they went down to it, Tommy Lee Jones killed all the crew because like they didn't want to tell about the life. I don't know. They wanted to destroy it or experiment on it or something. And he's like, no, life, intelligent, I'm God. So he kills them all and sends the ship back to Earth. Now there's a ship comes back to Earth with a bunch of dead people on it and no Tommy Lee Jones. What? What happened? How could that be? 27 years later, bam, power surge. Tommy Lee Jones is still alive somewhere. Now we have to find him. And then he lands on there and Tommy Lee Jones comes out like Marlon Brando and he's like, I am like the god of this planet.
See, to even like, if you want to leave it realistic, have Tommy Lee Jones be older and be distinguished and have him like he was the first man on Saturn or traveling to Saturn. He's the first man to travel to Jupiter as like a send off, as like a thing that NASA did because of the prestige. He was going to be the first man to be orbit around Neptune.
Oh, I thought you meant literally. Tommy Lee Jones will be the first man to walk on a gas giant.
So
holy shit, he fell in.
Gosh, it's not David Lynch. So they send Tommy Lee Jones, and the ship disappears. Yep. They don't know if they got there. They don't know if it crashed. They don't know what happens. And here's this person that's highly distinguished that, like, basically an individual human basically represents the space race, and they don't want people either freaking out or they don't want people guessing as to what it is that happened. So there's a top secret mission to send his son afterwards to see what happened, because they've noticed some fluctuations on the surface of Neptune.
Right.
And they're afraid that, like, you know, something like, well, they could just basically tell him that that's what happened, that they saw a signal. And as he gets out there, it could be the revelation that there was some top secret device or whatever that he was actually doing to either like try to seed Neptune, or they thought maybe there were readings or something. And so it's like, did his dad get killed because there were aliens, or is he developing something, or what exactly is going on? Is it even him? And so he like volunteers to do it. And when he gets there, then they realize it's just his dad. His dad just didn't want to come back to Earth. He thought the whole thing was a sham. He wanted to... Huh?
He kills him. I don't know.
No, it's just like he wanted to get out there and do his research so that people would leave him alone. And he thought that in doing that, it would reach the potential. And then he realizes, what I really needed was a partner, which should have been you. And you were right next to me the entire time, and I missed it. And we really should have been working together. But my goals just didn't align with yours. I just want to stay here and die. And then Brad Pitt goes, you know, I can, like, then he could give out, all the things that he wants to get out. And it's like, why did you spend all the time working on this when you could have spent it with your family and, you know, and actually have a scene together with the two of them.
Yeah.
And then at the end, Tommy Lee Jones basically tell him, listen, I'm dying. I want to continue my research until the moment that I die. I would rather you just leave and tell them that I'm not here, and I'll make sure that those signals don't get out anymore. And so then Brad Pitt leaves.
Yeah, and then the signals keep happening.
Everyone
was like, damn it!
Everyone just wants drama. I just think it would be interesting for it to not be anything supernatural, not be anything alien, but literally just be a family thing. I think that would be interesting.
Well, I knew from the second, really, the moment it started, and they started saying that they were going there for extraterrestrial life or whatever, that there wasn't going to be any.
Right.
I knew the movie was almost smart enough not to put it in. Keep it.
So
human.
it's like,
it was a human story.
The other thing is there's all these electrical surges that's like stopping everything. I don't understand how one underground location would be the best way to stop a surge. I don't see how that would, like, an EMP doesn't matter. It doesn't care that you're like underground.
Yeah,
and
Brad
like,
Pitt
the signal,
the energy.
The signal still has to go through space. So it doesn't matter if you're underground when you start. What matters is where the signal goes. But anyway, all of that, Brad Pitt is traveling in the ship by himself, hooked up to everything for 79 days. And apparently there's not one surge that stops everything on a ship or corrupts anything.
Didn't he stop the surges with the bomb?
No, I'm talking about on the way there.
Oh, on the way there. Well, there was one, wasn't there? At some point, whether it either was on Mars or he was on the...
No, it was one when they were trying to land on Mars.
Mm.
But nothing happened at all after he took off until the time he got to Neptune.
Tommy Lee Jones was sleeping.
For 79 days.
Longer. Tommy Lee Jones was up for 41 Earth days, and then he was sleeping for 20.
So speaking of that, how was it that the ship that was used to go from the moon to Mars is the same one that went from Mars to Neptune, which is like leagues difference?
They just refilled on gas, made sure it was topped up. Didn't know the change. Send them on their way.
No, with the weight differential of gas tanks, you wouldn't fly back and forth from the moon to the Mars with like only.
Well, I think that
like
was the ship that was
10%.
always planned because they said that that the moon was the long distance base, so it was always planned that was going to be the ship that goes to Neptune. So I'm assuming one, it did just get topped off at Mars, and then also they had to drop Brad Pitt off to see if he could talk to his dad and talk some sense into it, and if not, then the long distance ship that they prepped on the moon goes all the way, picks up the nukes, I guess, on Mars and goes all the way.
Okay.
It was always intended to be that one, like the moon was the
If that's the
long-distance base.
case, then there are two questions. One, why didn't they start heading out? Like, why did they need to go there? Why did it need to be the same ship and to go there? And like, what was it that Brad Pitt was going to do?
Talk to his daddy on the phone on Mars.
Okay, if that's the case, since it was something he was supposed to read, could not the audio have been recorded on Earth and then just sent to Mars? Why did he have to physically go?
Because it had to be genuine. Because if
No.
he just read the script, would his dad have replied? No, he had to get all nice and truthful after he saw it didn't work.
But as soon as he does that, Space Corp or whatever tells him that he's
United
kicked
Nations
off
Space
the thing.
Command. What's that from?
Space Command tells him that he's not fit to do the thing anymore and he has to leave.
Major
So that's
Tom.
not what they wanted him to do.
No, they didn't want him to go off page, I guess.
But that's the thing you said specifically got him to reply. If you
Yeah.
don't want him to go off the page, just record what he says and then send that recording. Don't do it live.
I guess.
Doesn't make any sense.
We wouldn't have a movie then.
Or think of a better reason.
We wouldn't have a movie then. Or they could just do it better.
Well,
Yeah.
instead of having him read it, have him say, we need you specifically because you need to plead. We think he's receiving the messages, but he's not sending anything back. We need you to go so that you can actually plead with him and try to get him to talk to us. Don't
Yeah,
give him a
just to
script.
go
Don't
off.
tell him he has to read anything specifically and then go, no, because you are now emotionally tied to the thing, which you already fucking were because you're his fucking kid. I don't know. It's just, it seems like it's lazy or sloppy writing, or like it didn't necessarily come across the way that they wanted it to. Like it was just a hindrance so that now he's not supposed to go, but now he can be able to sneak onto the thing, which doesn't make any sense at all. Like why you would sneak by climbing up through the engines, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. And like he could, when he looks at his fucking watch, he's still in the water and he has like 12 minutes left. And like he goes through all that and climbs all the way up before the boosters go. Really? Idiot.
How about
Dwight,
the part? Wow. How about the part where he flies through space and has a shield and blocks all the asteroids?
You mean the stupidest thing in a movie since Indiana Jones was in a fridge in a nuclear explosion?
That's the stupidest thing in Crystal Skull? Really? Not the monkey swinging Shia LaBeouf? Really? That's the one that you went for?
All of them.
In that great movie? In that excellent movie?
But it's one of those things, it's like at this point in the film, so many stupid things have happened and it wasn't even surprising.
That was the only part of the movie I rolled my eyes at. I was like, what? What they should have done instead was
Kinda
just had him fly through the asteroid field and have the asteroids hit him and nick things off, so it creates fucking tension. Is he going to get back to the ship or not? Because he's getting hit by asteroids and his suit's starting to deplete more. I don't know.
You know, the stupid thing is if this was in an orbit that was synchronized, like Tommy Lee Jones's ship would be going through that ring every day.
Sir, I'm going to Iron Man it. I'm going to cut a hole in my hands and fly like Iron Man.
I know.
There's been so many space movies this decade. There's been like one a year. You brought it up earlier, but let's break down. Like, what's your favorite one of the bunch?
Of all the new ones?
Yeah. I think it's really 2013 till now where there's like one every year much.
Okay, so if we're not going with Moon, Legem.
No, that's from like 2006?
No, because it's an internet.
I just wanted to make a stupid joke. That's what running around. Like all
First
of our
Man. First
Yeah,
Man.
me too.
And then The Martian closely behind because I really
Wow, me too. And then Interstellar third.
there's
Yeah, but the other choices is this and Gravity.
I fucking hated Gravity. Gravity was like the ending of this movie at the beginning. So, okay, I have to do. There's two more things
Oh,
I
boy.
have to get out of my system while we're talking about it.
Well, hurry up.
One is, do you remember when Brad
The
Pitt?
21st night of September when we were recording this?
Do you remember? When Brad Pitt goes in this very specific audio room with all the things on there.
Why did
And then
they should have dropped a Fire mixtape in that sweet ass recording studio on Mars? Did you see the soundproofing in that room?
Yes.
Damn.
But did you see that when Brad Pitt looks up, there's a glass fucking ceiling so that he can see the stars, which would completely remove the purpose of that entire room.
The band doesn't actually want it to be soundproof. They just want the aesthetic.
It is just so.
It was to
stupid.
Symbolize Brad Pitt breaking through the glass ceiling.
No, it was to symbolize the
ugly
director not
astronauts.
knowing what the fuck he's doing.
God.
Okay, and then the last thing, and I left it last because it's this. It probably is the stupidest thing. Okay, listen.
It's probably going to be my favorite part of the movie, and I just somehow forgot about it.
I know.
Now we already talked about the monkey.
You probably watch Star Trek movies, and that's like your holy grail for space movies. And I don't even mean the old ones. I mean the new J.J. Abrams one. But regardless of what, like the director of Ad Astra.
Oh, I thought you were like chirping me and saying that my favorite space movies were the J.J. Star Trek movies, because you'd be right.
No, I'm talking about the director. Who I'll probably not watch any of his other movies because I don't know if I trust his picking a story. When you
Star
have
Trek Beyond was good.
That's fine. When you have an explosion happen behind you in space, they don't propel you forward because there's no atmosphere. Therefore, there is no shock wave. Therefore, you would either like disintegrate or the shrapnel would just go through the ship and destroy it.
That's what should have happened, and then it should just the ship could have got obliterated, and I would have been like, idiot. And then the credits roll.
Just your face comes up and you go, idiot, and then
This is delayed, by the way. You made that joke only mere minutes ago.
Only mere minutes ago.
Yeah, but it looked cool, Garrett, and that's all that matters in a space movie.
It's all that matters in a fun adventure movie, but not one that your director specifically says will have the most realistic space. Whatever the fuck he said. I deleted it and I don't care to read it again.
Did we talk about my fun idea for adventure space movie on the podcast, or just playing Red Dead?
I don't remember, but you should probably mention it again.
No, then somebody's going to steal my idea.
Oh.
I mean, my idea also just steals a bunch of other ideas and puts it together into one thing. But hey-oh. But anyway, if I ever have that, I'm going to have an explosion in space, propel a ship forward, and then it's going to go ding! And then it's just going to say, fuck you, Garrett, on the bottom of the screen, and then the movie's going to continue.
Yeah,
but I know what you mean. It would be in a fun adventure movie and something taking itself seriously.
And that's the thing is, I think if this movie didn't take itself seriously, I mean, it almost shouldn't take itself seriously, but it does.
Right.
And that's the problem.
That's because it's trying to be a pocket space now.
Wow.
A space ellipse now.
Wow.
Ad Astra ellipse now.
And it's like I mentioned to you.
Apocalypse. Wow.
And I know you're still doing your little fun thing there.
Is there a video called that on the internet that just puts Owen Wilson into Apocalypse Now? Because if there's not, I'm going to do that.
Well, you should do it anyway. With all of this negative being said, it's like these are all the reasons why I don't think it was a great film. I still think it was. I would not recommend it necessarily.
Okay.
Let me take a drink here. So I would not recommend it necessarily.
Okay.
But I did enjoy watching it the one time. I think it's one of those movies where like there's really nothing more to it than what you see the first viewing.
I have no drive to watch it again.
Yeah, and it's like there's so many problems that I think it's just going to stand out even worse in the second viewing. And then I saw it in IMAX. I think that had some of the beneficial marks for like sound and visuals. But like watching it on Blu-ray, I think it's going to completely lose that. So it's like my rating, it might be abnormally high for what this will eventually be. But I feel like I should rate it for how I felt at the moment I saw it.
Sure.
And maybe like how it ranks against the movies I've seen that have come out this year. And
Sure.
so, that's the reason why I have it where I have it. But and the stream
Where
of
is
things,
it on your list of films this year?
well, I haven't seen very many films this year yet. It's 13 right now, but
I
it's
think I have it
definitely
at
going to go
12.
down. Say that
So
again.
I think I have it at 12, so we're about
12.
similar. What's your
Okay.
total? I have 41 in there, including shorts.
I only have 52.
Only. It's more than me. What's directly above it and directly below it?
Directly below it, well, I also rank my stand-up specials, so I won't have those on here, or I won't tell what those are, but I'll tell you what the next feature film is.
Motion
The
picture.
feature film below it is Velvet Buzzsaw, the Netflix movie,
Mm-hmm.
the one by the director of Nightcrawler. Which
I know what it is, butthead.
I'm telling other
Also,
people
our
that
prices
probably
have
don't.
never been lower.
So again, it's like there were some elements of the film that I liked, but there was a lot that I think they had wrong, and the kind of the pacing and the type of film that it wasn't that great. And it's like you see a horror movie to see really cool, inventive deaths, and there was a lot of just like digital blood that wasn't that cool. And then the one that I have over it is the Apollo 11 movie, because that's
What's that
all
called?
actual. It's called
I'm
Apollo
kidding.
11.
I know what it is.
And that because it actually has all the real space stuff. But
Sure.
I don't necessarily think it's like better than For All Mankind, which already came out and was on Criterion. It's like, yeah, it looks a little bit better, and they did a couple of new things, but most of the stuff had already been seen before.
Sure. Well, cool.
But it wasn't. It's like, and this is telling of my bad movie stuff. To me, it wasn't as like fun and exciting as Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw.
Well, no, man. Entertaining movies are entertaining. Like, they're a good time. You rate them accordingly. Like, it's fine.
And it's like they still, even though I don't think this was the greatest or anything, Avengers Endgame was still much more interesting and
Sure.
fun. But I've only watched it once too.
Sure. I have also only watched it once. Yikes. Anyway, I've seen it 4 times.
Yikes.
Directly below it for me was Us, and above it was Rocket Man.
See, I haven't seen Rocket Man, and then Us.
You're gonna hate it.
Us, I have ranked down at 21.
Yeah, I know. You don't like that movie. You'll hate Rocket Man. Or will you love it? I don't know. Do you like Elton John?
I do like Elton John.
Well, it's a musical, so...
I actually have Goodbye Yellow Brick Road
It is
on
a
album.
Cool. That's a great album.
Love it.
It is a significantly better version of Bohemian Rhapsody. Significantly better version.
That's fair.
It's a version that actually tries to be interesting with its interesting subject and not run of the mill. So whether it nails it or not, or hits it or not, is up to the viewer, I think. But it does do some surrealist kind of things with its musical nature that I think lends to the fact that it's about a musician who is larger than life, much like Freddie Mercury, but Bohemian Rhapsody just did run-of-the-mill boring.
Right.
I recommend that one. It's pretty good.
Well, and it's rated R too, right?
It is, yes. Whole lot of swearing, whole lot of drugs, not a whole lot of sex. Could have been PG-13 in my mind. I don't think swearing necessarily should get an R at all. So
yeah, because teenagers swear all the time.
I was swearing when I was like 9. It's because I'm fucking Canadian.
Swearing out of the womb.
Fuck you, mama! She smacks me.
Just don't call her Cracker.
No, there's a gay sex scene in the movie that has no nudity in it, but it's gay, so R.
That's ridiculous.
It shows as much nudity as some PG-13 movies that have straight couples.
That kind of stings.
It is kind of ridiculous, and I do think it did hurt the box office of the film, to be honest. If it was a PG-13
Sure.
Elton John movie, it would have been probably a little less big than Bohemian Rhapsody, but still more than like the $200 million or whatever it made. So
I kind of think
Taron Egerton has to be nominated for an Oscar now because he gives a better performance than Rami Malek does, and the Academy set a precedent for themselves last year. So
yeah, but the thing is anybody else playing a person this year?
I don't know, are they
Like, are there any other biopics? Is what I mean.
pushing a lead? I don't know, because the only other biopic I can think off the top of my head is Mr. Rogers with Tom Hanks, but they're running him in supporting.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of movies that they showed once again, the trailer for 1917 and in
I'm
the IMAX
so
screen.
down.
Yes, that looks like it's going to be so good.
Dude, I don't even care. It's Roger Deakins.
Well,
Take
did you?
me, Roger.
Wow, did you see the trailer for Midway?
Yeah, me and my
It
buddy
looks
high-fived and said we're going to
terrible.
go watch it in theaters.
Oh, it looks and it's Roland Emmerich.
It looks so.
Like,
I didn't know it was. He's like, we're going to go see this. And I'm like, no. And then it went from the director of Independence Day and whatever the day after. Fuck you. I hate that movie.
Day After
And
Tomorrow.
he leans over and said, now we're going to go see it. And I went, I'm never watching a Roland Emmerich movie in theaters or ever. And we're going to go see it in theaters probably. So, no, I'm kidding. I'm not watching that trash.
Well, there already was a Midway movie. Charlton Heston was in it. I
Yeah,
think.
this is a remake, I think.
Was it?
Except Roland Emmerich style. Pearl Harbor 2. This time it's personal.
The problem is, yes, Charlton Heston, Henry Fonda. Like, oh, the score isn't necessarily that great. I don't know if I've even how long it's been since I've seen that.
The problem is Roland Emmerich sucks.
That and the special effects look like PS2 video game quality.
Uh-huh. Did you see the cast?
Oh, it's just names. It's like, oh look, we're gonna get
I was going to say, like, they blackmailed them all into it.
like Randy Quaid's gonna be in it.
God. What
And
about
Woody
Woody?
Harrelson? Let's talk about Rampart.
Oh, gosh. Guys, I'd like to keep this discussion to midway, please.
All right, I think we've talked
We
enough.
should wrap this garbage up.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
Wow. Now he made fun of me, so I feel like I shouldn't even do it. Twitter! But if you do like the show, first off, of course, you can always like
Kiss
and
us.
subscribe us on and send us kisses in the mail. Give us a like, give us a sub on
Rubber bullet kisses.
YouTube. You can get informed and up to date with the latest episodes of the Digital Driving Podcast and whatever we end up doing in the future, even though I have it up every time, we never do it. You can also follow the show on Twitter at digital_podcast. Not that anybody does. And you can follow myself at Alex's Reviews and Garrett at Garrett Donardo. You can also follow both of us on our letterbox with the links in the description below, where you can stay up to date on all of our movie watching. And if we watch something at the same time, maybe get a little glimpse of what's coming up on the podcast. I think that's about it, is it not?
Sure.
So was Ad Astra Rad Astra or Bad Astra? Or was it Sad Trashtra? Let's answer your question, Garrett. It was Meh Bastra.
Yeah. You should end it there.
Does it make you mad, Astra?
No, it didn't make me mad.
Astra?